Let's begin. For the user interface, there are two libraries. One is Pygame, another one is Tkinter. I will be using Tkinter for the step calculator. To import that, you have to say from Tkinter import start. When I say start, whatever the functions are available in this Tkinter will be utilized in entire function. So all the functions you will be importing. Window is a variable. Inside that, I am calling the window. Let us create a heading. I'll create a variable heading and I'll put a label inside the window with the text as step calculator. And font, I will use Arial, whichever you want, you can choose. And size, I will use it as 10. And I'm using a pack method here, not a grid. If you want, you can use grid where you can mention rows and columns. I'm using pack, so I'll just write heading dot pack. This pack method basically aligns everything inside the window. If you want to particularly align at certain positions, then you can mention grids. So the geometry, you can also fix the size of the window. So I'll say window dot geometry. I want the size of the window to be 800 cross 400. Again, it's your choice. And I'll put the title of the window as window dot title. Step calculator. Now let us create a label. Whenever we use a tip calculator, we need a bill and the service what we are using. Depending upon that, for each service will apply certain percentage and calculate the tip. For the bill, we'll just create a label. To create a label, I will put it inside a variable bill and call a label inside a window. And the text, I will mention it as bill. And the font, I will use Arial with the size 20. If you want to align the label left, right, up, or down, we will be using anchor. So anchor, you have to mention it in the form of directions like west, east, north, and south. So for the left side, we will say it as west. So just write W and justify the entire content to the left side. And let us keep the width as 100. And just pack it. Now we need to take a user entry for the bill. That was just a label. So now we have to take a user entry. For user entry, let us create a variable as entry equal to entry inside the window. And let us justify it to the left so that it gets aligned with the bill. And then width of it, let us put 100. Font, again, I'll use Arial with size 16 and just pack it. Now let us create a categories like the services, whatever you are taking as a drop down menu. So for that, let us create a label first. So I will drop the entire label inside a variable category. Inside the window text, I will have it as category. Again, it's your choice. You can choose whatever you want. And font, I will keep it as Arial with size 20. I will align it to the left side. So for that, I'll write anchor as west. And I'll justify the content to the left. And width as 100. And then packet. Category dot pack. What all services you will be taking, let us add it in a option for the drop down menu. For that, let us create a variable options. Let's create a list of those options. First one, I'll have it as restaurants. Separate the elements by comma. Then I'll have food delivery, comma, massage, tour guide, hairstylist, home services, and then taxi. If you want more, you can add more of your choice. Now these are all strings. So basically, you have to mention the data type of all these options. So I will consider these options as string variable. And then when I click it, then it has to set when basically if you see the drop down menu, the first thing what you want to see. So I want to see it as choose the category, like a placeholder. And now let us create a drop down menu. Let us put whatever we have added here, like options. And then when we click what should happen, let us put entire things inside the drop down menu. So I'll call option menu. It should be inside the window. And I'll call clicked here. And value should be star means again entire options, whichever I have mentioned inside the option list here. Then drop, I need to configure this, like where you want to exactly place it. I want to place it at the left side. I'll say anchor to the west side, justify the content to the left. Width, let us keep it 100. And font again, you can place it as Arial. and size 16. And then padding. Padding is nothing but shifting the content, how much you want to shift. So padding can happen in x-axis also and y-axis also. I'll be giving the shifting at y-axis. So for that, I'll say pad y 10. So padding can be mentioned like, so when you can see these numbers over here, you can see these numbers are shifted a bit inside. If it is shifting from left to right or right to left, that is pad x-axis. If it is shifting from up and down, like you can see 36 and 37, there is some space over here, right? So that space is nothing but you're shifting content by so much of number in y-axis. So even I want to shift this entire drop-down menu by 10 in y-axis. So that's what I said, pad y 10. And then packet. Next, when you put all these things inside the bill and choose a category, you need to calculate, right? So let us create a button for that. So I'll say button, I'll create a variable button. Inside that, I'll call button. This button should be placed inside window. And the text of the button should be calculate. Again, it's your choice. Whatever you want, you can put. I'll put the width of the button as 20. The command inside the button should be bill function. So basically inside this command button, you will be calling a function where you will write how the calculation should happen. So that function I'm calling here will create a function also. I'll call the font and I'll keep it as Arial again. And then I'll give 16. Don't worry, it is showing red. I know because we haven't created the function, we'll create it. Okay, now let us create the function. Let us create the function at the starting over here. Again, it's your choice wherever you want to create it, but make sure the function is created before you call the function. To define a function, I'll say define, and the name of the function, I'll put it as bill function. Let me see, how did I write it? Okay, bill function. Okay, so now first, whatever the bill you are entering into the user input space, that you have to take it inside the variable. So for that, I'll create a variable bill entry. So to get the input, whatever you are typing in that user input space, for that, what you have to do is you have to say entry dot get. So this will basically get whatever you have written and store it inside the variable bill entry. Now, option, whatever option you're selecting, even that has to, that also we have to get. So you say option entry equal to whatever you're clicking. So clicked dot get it. Now, once you get it, let us do the calculation. So I will say if option entry is equal to restaurants, please make sure how you have wrote it in the option, the same thing you will write it over here. If you would like to avoid the error, you can also copy paste it. So I'll say if option entry is equal to restaurants or option entry is equal to food delivery. Oh, sorry. An option entry is equal to taxi. I'm taking it in one line because I want to use the same percentage to calculate the tip. So I'll say it as, so let me calculate the tip. So for that, I'll create a tip. I'll be using float because we are calculating it with the percentage, we are applying some percentage. So that's the reason percentage will be considered in the form of decimals, and also that's the reason we have to consider it as a float. So whatever the bill entry is done, that multiplied by 0.15. So for restaurants, food delivery, and taxi, I am considering the percentage to be 15% of the bill. So that's the reason I said float. I'll be doing typecasting for the bill entry. Float multiplied by 0.15. 15% is nothing but 0.15. And whatever the calculation is there, it will be stored inside the tip. I'll create another variable tips, and that I will convert back to integer. And then I'll calculate the total bill. So I will say int of tip plus, I'm doing typecasting here so that everything, whatever the calculation is happening, it should be in one data type, bill entry. So the tip, whatever is calculated using the bill, and the bill, total bill, whatever is there, when you add it together, so that will give you the total amount, how much you have to pay with the tip. So let us write the text you want to display. I will say text equal to hello. Again, you can frame your own sentence. Your bill is, for the moment, I'm doing dollars. Again, you can use whatever currency you want, or you can also add a drop-down menu for your currency too. I'll do the typecasting over here because again, different data types can be framed as sentence. So let us make it all string. So I will convert this bill entry to string plus and dollar plus string tips plus just framing a sentence. So you can choose your own sentence. Depending upon that, you can modify your sentence. But total bill dollar plus string of total bill plus the next content, whatever I'll be displaying, like a greeting. So let us take that into the next line. For that, you will take slash and n, and then write thank you for choosing us. So once this sentence is written, let us display it. So we'll say bill underscore display dot config text equal to the text. So now this bill display is showing an error because we haven't created a space where you basically want to display this sentence. Okay, let us create that space now. So I'll create it at the end over here after the button. So I will say I'll use the same variable which I have wrote over there. I'll say bill display is equal to label This should be inside the window. And the text should be empty because we are using the text which is inside the function. So I'll keep it as empty. And the font, I'll keep Arial with size 10. So I'll make it 30. And then pack it. Once everything is done, run the main loop. So we'll say window dot main loop. So now here, this only I have done for restaurants, food delivery, and taxi. There are other options depending upon what percentage you want to consider. Just consider it and do the same calculation again by adding it in else if. So for massage and hairstylist, I have took 10% of the bill. And then for tour guide and home services, again, I have took 15%. So depending upon that, you'll repeat the same steps again and again here. So once this is done, this is the output.